Arfield, 1-0 Burnley. Scott Arfield, he's been threatening that recently, and all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. Here's Sir Rory now. On the outside, decent.
Barnes! He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Sir Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes! And Burnley leading the derby.
Obviously quickly finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell. Saved by the keeper.
Burnley won it to the end! That is magnificent! They deserve that!
Only by Paul Teller. Up for a hat-trick.
He's got it! Hat-trick for Nathan Teller! Oh, he's on fire at the minute! 3-0 Burnley! It's Nathan Teller's day!
And Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby. Here's Benson. Can he go on the outside? Comes inside. Comes up a shot.
Oh, the goal! Manuel Benson once more! That is top class!
Burnley have done it. Fantastic. Clarets deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello and welcome along to the latest instalment of the TurfCast podcast full-time show with me, Joe Redmond, after another positive result for the Clarets after it's now 3 draws in a row. Fantastic stuff from Burnley. I'm being facetious, obviously. I mean, on the face of it, it's another good point when you look at it individually, but obviously in the manner of way we drew the match. So when you add a bit of context to the actual game itself and the actual season itself and the fact that draws are no longer good enough, then, yeah, it becomes another sort of deflating draw for the Clarets. But it isn't just me. I am pleased to say that both Nathan and Andrew are here on this week's full-time show. How are we doing, boys?
Yeah, very well, considering. We've still not won since last year.
Yeah. Well, since what? October? Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? It's been a while. Get your comments coming in, especially even the Leeds fan who's just joined us trying to wind us all up. We will do our best to ignore you, young man. But John's in the chat. He says, did anyone believe we could hold out, though, by letting them have hold the shots? When they hit the bar, at that point, I thought maybe, just maybe, luck might be on our side. But unfortunately, obviously, it wasn't to be. Liam B says, felt like a loss. Where do we go from here? Relegation is somewhat. Liam, that's the understatement of the century. We are dead, buried, hook, line, and sinker, mate. And I'll tell you what, when I started doing these sort of like post-weekend ponders, I think on one of my first ones, I said other results around us mean we are dead and buried, and I got a lot of stick for that. People say, you can't be saying that. I think we were 5 points adrift at that point. Ultimately proven to be correct once again. And Muzz is in the chat. Evening, how you doing, Muzz? Hope you're well. Dom's in the chat. Evening, hope you're doing well. Lee Richard says, can we please make out the results this weekend? I've all but confirmed we're going down. Yeah, obviously I've just said that, mate, before I saw your comment, because that has obviously since before the turn of the year. Unfortunately for us, West Ham have found form, obviously winning 2 games in 2. Forest obviously have been out of form, but won again today. Yeah, it's not looking good. Muzz says Forest winning today haven't helped matters. I mean, we were done. We really were done. But yeah, I agree. It's obviously gone from 7 to 10 because of that. Good evening, boys. It says 1982. Clarets, don't know if you're doing your best Unai Emery impression there, or you're just doing a typo. J-Rod says, Joe and Co, how's it going from a very snowy Rhode Island where we're about to get almost 2 feet of snow dropped on us, 60 centimetres. Thank you for the conversion there, mate. But I hope you're up at warm, should I say, J-Rod. Evening, lads, says Lee. Evenings, greetings, from Kuala Lumpur. Yeah, keep your comments coming in. We will read out the ones that we can. Jordan's in the chat. He says, yesterday I was absolutely gutting. The game hurt more than most this season, but on the plus side, it ends the hope. I didn't have any hope personally, but obviously I know for a few of you that will have been the moment that the hope ended. And it's the hope that kills you. Just throw everything at the FA Cup now. I mean, I'd somewhat agree with that, but we're not going to win it, are we? Sorry to be defeatist. We've got Scott Parker in charge. Steve Whitty says, hello, lads, from Plymouth. Feel free to let me all know where you're watching from in the comments. We've had Rhode Island in America, a very snowy Rhode Island. We've had Kuala Lumpur as well from Ginger Alley. See if anyone can beat Rhode Island and Kuala Lumpur. And don't just put greetings from Mars and change your name to Mr. Alien, because I know that'll be BS. But let me know where you're watching from. Anyway, enough of all the niceties. But yeah, let's get into the game. We'll start with Nathan. Thoughts on the game yesterday, please, mate.
It's just like I said just before we come on. It's just more like I don't really care anymore. Like it sounds real. I mean, obviously I do care, but it's like they're just apathy levels and just like sort of exhaustion levels. It's just whole rock bottom. And like yesterday, I went on with absolute no hope of a result. Really, I know I saw in the group chat I put a 2-1 win, but that would just probably be me being a bit facetious and a bit, And then, like I say, I'm walking on with the lads I go on, and I said, I just want just something, just some excitement, just something just to get out of our seats. And to be fair,
the second half did provide that. Yeah.
We got a little bit of summer, between that sort of 50 and 70th minute mark. It were quite exciting, and we were, we actually didn't look like we were sitting back and being passive like we were for the pretty much every other part of the game. But like I say, the West Ham result in the afternoon, watching that result come through while just having something to eat before the game, and that really did just pop the balloon before you even left the house. So it just made the going on to the turf was just a formality, really, just something you have to do.
Ironic fan zone, which is where I tend to go if I have chance 4 games. And as soon I didn't realise we were winning 3-0. As soon as I walked in, I saw 3-0. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
But then, sort of, as for the game specifically, I think it wasn't a great game for that first 45 minutes. If it wasn't for that sort of out of nowhere, unbelievable cross from Walker and, Joan Zabi got saying it like, again, I put it in group chat. That's Mosties look like a footballer all season. Getting at the end of that, it were a class finish. So, other than that first half was pretty dour against a pretty equally sort of dour team, really.
Yeah.
There wasn't really much for any side to be proud of coming off the pitch, really. There, like, I guess you could probably tell just like the way I'm talking about the game. It just was just a bit of a formality and just a job done, game over. And like I say, the comments coming in, it just never looked like we were going to hang on. Really, the decisions that were made. We went 2-1 up, and he sort of sat on his hands a little bit. And I guess it's easier saying with hindsight, but from that 2-1 in, I was immediately going. I said to my dad, who came on for that first time in years, we've been on together, and I turned to my dad and I said, "Right, Edwards off, Ekdal on, flat back 5, bank in, and just really stink the thing out." But he didn't. He did the opposite of what Scott Parker would do. He actually brings Hannibal on and pushes it on, and pushes it on even further. And he waits 10 minutes to do that. And I just think it's these little moments that are the frustrating part of it. Like I said, I don't want this to just be another hour of just Parker this, Parker that. But he really does get the basics wrong, and he has done like consistently. Like it's not like he's a terrible manager. I don't think he's a terrible manager. He just fails to get the simple decisions right. And
I think for me, he's not a terrible manager. He's just a bit out of his depth in the Premier League.
Massively. But I mean, if I can sit back in bottom of Jimmy Macupper and say, right, 2-1 up, Ekdal on, try and see the game out. Because if he does that, you can sort of then, I mean, obviously in hindsight, if we don't see the game out, we bring Ekdal and go, bloody hell, he's brought Ekdal on and up, But like, I think I'm a bit. Try to be level-headed with it all. And if you can see that you've gone, right, let's protect this win now. It's come late in the game. I think everyone walks off the turf and goes, yeah, fair enough. He's banked in. But instead, he doesn't do anything for 10 minutes. Like that. It just seemed, I don't know, it just seemed so, so bizarre with it all. And that sums it up, that comment there. Just a season of just what ifs. But then I tweeted earlier about Martin Dubravka. So we'll get to the man of the match later. I think, I know my man of the match. But we would genuinely be on like
even Andrew going against the grain on that one.
Like even like 2 points we would have this season if it wasn't for Martin Dubravka. Like that's how
he was superb.
Yeah, again, and it's not fair. We can't keep relying on him like that. So
I mean, it tells its own story, though, doesn't it? The fact that Martin Dubravka's come away again. Like, it's not just like that 1 or 2 games. Like, the amount of times we've come away and we're talking about how good Martin Dubravka was. Muzz says here, next 3 games are all winnable, so there's still hope. Muzz, let go, mate. Just let go. They are winnable. Will we win them? Probably not. 3 draws in there, knowing Burnley. As Forest and West Ham and Leeds all continue to win week in, week out, and we go further and further drift, we're all sat here going, well, we're getting better. We are getting better. There's only so much you can polish a turd, unfortunately. And I don't think you can polish this turd enough to be able to stay up. The stats for the game are on your screen now. Our XG is lower than Spurs's. We did create 3 big chances. I'll just quickly get rid of the comments off the screen so you can see the other side of it. Keep your comments coming in, though, because I can still see them. 37% possession to their 63, 9 shots to their 18. They've doubled our shots. They've more than doubled our shots on target. They had 11 shots on target. So that just goes to show how good Martin Dubravka was there, making 9 saves. They've created 4 big chances to our 3. Now, that is a stat. And the XG, I know a lot of people don't like the XG stuff, but again, I do find it an half-decent metric as long as you use other stuff as well and not just go entirely off that. The XG and our big chances are far higher there than what they have been over the course of the season. I don't know what the average is, but I bet it's somewhere quite low. I bet it's below 0. In fact, I go as far as saying it's probably below 0.8 or 0.75 our average XG for the season. 3 big chances. I would fathom a guess that that's one of our highest this season. Maybe only Wolves away being the game that's higher than that. I don't know. But that just goes to show that the game was not one-sided, because I do think we had spells, especially for the first 25 minutes in the second half, up until the goal, really. And even after the goal, we still sort of like pushed forward. But just, again, not to go into individuals just yet, just chances falling to their own players, unfortunately.
I think the stats late. I think Tottenham was like, they were giving us the ball back at every opportunity.
I felt we were doing that as well to them, though. That's how poor we both were with the ball.
That's the reason why we had so many chances, and like they would give us the ball back in their own third, like so many times, and we just could not capitalise on anything they did. And it was almost like Tottenham was saying, like, "Oh, come on, lads, we'll help you out. We'll give you, we'll give you a few points, get you back up on board." And we just still couldn't even do it. And them stats back that up again. Like, we don't create chances, and the expected goals.
Our goal, the first goal came from their keeper trying to roll it out to Romero, and it just went under his foot, and we got a throw in from nothing. Exactly. And obviously, then we recycled the throw in, got another one, and scored from it. But
so then the big chances and the expected goals probably weren't actually created by us. Really, it was Tottenham throwing the balance of play back to us for nothing, and
It were just it were frustrating. But I think, and again, it feels weird saying this when we haven't won since October. But small, very small shoots of improvement, positivity. It's just ultimately too little, too late, and not enough. Andrew, your thoughts on the game? Then, obviously, we've already been chatting for 15 minutes, but we'll quickly get your thoughts on the game before we go into the sort of like the individual goals and things like that, performances.
Just 2 very poor sides, weren't it, really? Like, you could tell that Tottenham aren't in great form at the minute and haven't been playing well. All right, they beat Dortmund the other night, but they weren't great themselves, and obviously we are where we are in the league. And I know it's easy to say, like you said, that performances are getting a little bit better and we are doing slightly better, but we're at a very similar point to where we were at the start of the season, where we had a lot of really tough fixtures and then started getting winnable fixtures. And that really is when this poor run of forms really hit us.
See, this is what some people have started saying to me recently. Like, we've had a tough run of fixtures, but we've got winnable games now. But we're in this position 4 months ago, and then the winnable games came and went, and we lost them all. We lost 7 in a row. That's when we're having our winnable games.
Yeah,
exactly. That's why I'm just thinking. You know me. You both know how optimistic I am, and even I'm at the point where that delusion train's starting to
Yeah,
pull out
well,
of this
there's a
first
comment
one.
here on screen for those of you watching listening on the podcast at a later time and day from James Smith. He says, I think we will survive for the first time ever this season. I understand with what you're trying to say, James. If you look on that performance and the last two performances against Liverpool and Manchester United, and you can even throw the Millwall in there if you want. If you look at them 4 performances and that's when the season started, you could be like, yes, we probably will stop up here. We're playing well enough. We're getting good enough results. But when you, like I said at the start, when you factor in the context of the fact we are now 10 points adrift of safety, there's no chance we stay up, mate. And I appreciate your honesty there, James, and your positivity, but you are genuinely 3 glasses deep into delusion juice there, mate, unfortunately.
I'd make the argument as well that yesterday wasn't the greatest of performances. Like, at
First
least
half, it wasn't, no. I think second
no,
half, we looked better.
I think we looked better, but we were still very sloppy on the ball. We were still very slow to try and create any attacks. Like Nathan said, the majority of the chances we got were from the Tottenham mistakes rather than from us actually creating anything. And I think that's obviously been our issue all season, that we're not really that creative and we struggle to put away chances. But yeah,
you could argue, obviously, yesterday we did create a bit more. Obviously, if we had the 3 big chances and things like that, just unfortunately, Armando Broja couldn't finish his tee.
But any other of the promoted teams or any other team in the league takes the game to Tottenham, like I said.
Which we did in the second half, to be fair. Which we did in the second half. Just my frustration was the first half, we just sat back.
And then we sat back as soon as we went 2-1 up. Like, all right, we may have had a couple of chances after that, but then we just decided to sit back and hold on to it. And
I don't even think we decided to sit back. There was no tactical change.
I just think with that one, it's just natural. As frustrating as it is, and as much as we've seen it from the majority of the lads this season and Parker's football, we'd love to sit back. So people immediately go back to it's Parker is sitting back, which 99 times out of 100 this season has been correct. I just think this time it's just a natural thing to do late in the game, winning, haven't won in what feels like 14 years. I think that was just natural rather than Parker being like, right, sit back. I don't know.
That's what that's what I was confused at when I was just saying before. Like, I didn't make a change to sit back. And I don't think we really did sit back that much. If anything, we actually stepped on them a little bit more.
We did at first after the goal. We did,
then that started letting Tottenham leave a few players further on the pitch, which then they were quicker on the break, and I just felt like it would have just made more sense to go right 2-1. We're in here. We're actually leading a game of football for quite a long time. I can't remember the last time we led a game of football. Was it West Ham away, or I might be forgetting? So I don't know, but it just felt like a really counterproductive sort of 10-minute period where...
We were 1-0 up against United, didn't we, actually?
Sorry, yeah, we did, sorry. But like I say, it just was that lack of... To me, it looked like a lack of change, and it would just... I think that's what you're saying. Eventually, after 5-10 minutes, the default setting to the lads just set back in again, and it was right. But it was in them middle ground. I think the game was lost, where Tottenham gained a lot of ground and took the hold of the game, and we reacted to none of it. And frustrating.
Yeah, very frustrating. Anyway, let's get into the goals and the mistakes or the brilliance or whatever in some of them. First one, Andrew, come to you first on this one. For me, and again, I thought Carl was frustrating yesterday. I know Kyle Walker got the assist and a brilliant cross. He really has that in him. We saw him. There's a Leeds fan obviously in the chat. He put in a brilliant cross for, was it Big Les against Leeds? And I feel like he's not really done that as much since, but he put in a brilliant cross later on in the game for this. We'll get onto that. But this one, not great defensively from Burnley. Kyle Walker, I don't know I tweeted it, but I think it's a great little analogy, so I'm going to use it again. I felt like he jumped 5 working days in advance. When I've taken this shot here, this is as the ball's coming down. Kyle Walker is already on his way down. And obviously, the Spurs player wins the header, as you can imagine. The ball gets across to who scores it? Is it Van der Ven? I think it is Van der Ven, isn't it? And it's a good finish, to be fair. Martin Dubravka has played very well in this game. He's just made a brilliant double save before it goes out for the Spurs corner, which is obviously what we concede from. No faults here from Martin Dubravka for that. It's just a brilliant goal. You could look if you're being super critical and didn't understand the context of where the ball's just been, that his positioning is not great there, but he's obviously just moved over to that side of his net because, as you can see here, the ball's on that side. So no complaints from me from Dubravka at all. Just a brilliant finish. But I think the mistake here, like I said, I'll come to Nathan first on this one. Did I say Andrew? I can't remember. Well, we'll say Andrew. I think I said Andrew. We'll come to Andrew first on this one. But your thoughts on that goal we conceded? I think it's poor from Kyle. If I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I think it's poor from Kyle. Like I said, he jumps far too early, and I don't want to be super critical of anyone today, but he, for me, didn't have his greatest game in the Burnley shirt, and I think at the minute he's riding on the coattails of being Kyle Walker and a former Man City player, and he's not been great recently. But yeah, I think he jumps too early. And obviously it's poor defending. I think Florentino, I think he's the man marking whoever the Tottenham player is who gets his head on the ball. I think he needs to be a little bit stronger in that situation. And then it's a good finish from Van de Ven, but you never like to see a goalkeeper stood still and just watch the ball go past you. Like, I'm not going to be too critical on Dubravka because, like you say, he saved us so many times in that game yesterday, and he has done all season. But you would like to at least see him dive for the ball rather than stand there and watch it go past him. But I think it's bad defending all round.
In fairness, I do think there's a few bodies in the way as well with that one.
Yeah, there's a few bodies in the way. And there's a few bodies in the box though who should be throwing themselves at the ball. And I think even Humphries is the one who kicks the ball to Van de Ven. At that point, you just clear it. You just smash it as far as you can. But he doesn't. He just, tries to play it. It's just poor defending all round.
Yeah,
it's so clear. Look at the numbers. Count the Spurs numbers and count the Burnley players in that box. It's absolute. That is a disgrace from a team that, had so many good defensive performances. Granted, different opposition, but they were solid and organised. Cut to that next screen again. Look how all over the place it is. You've got 8 Burnley players and 5 Spurs players. Like, why the hell is Van de Ven on his own? You've got I think it's Broye here at the back being marked by Lucas Perez at the back. You've got you've got 3 of our back line hiding behind Spurs players. You've got it's just when I watched it, the ball came in and I saw Kyle jump that high. It felt like I didn't think we were going to score, but it just felt like this is a boo-boo here. And then it just basic stuff like that. That's piss poor. Look at that line. It's absolutely piss poor. We look completely and utterly devoid of any leaders at the back that are organising anything there. And I've said this many times. I think
that's been evident throughout the season, hasn't it? Really,
it's so clear as day. And that Van de Ven had the audacity to run in front of Jimmy Mack lower and start giving it big.
I don't know what all that were about. I don't know if he got anything off the Jimmy Mack, but the Jimmy Mack's quite a reserved stand, so I doubt it.
We've just given you practically a training drill.
He just came to stands and started giving it big, and for some reason,
no idea flexing his muscles in front of Jamie Mack lower, which them poor 7-8-year-olds must have been well confused.
Family stand in front of Players Lounge as well. Yeah. Players Lounge has been moved to there now, hasn't it? It's just what was he giving it big into Fleming's wife or something? I don't know. Maybe
family of 4 from Briarfield giving it big into him. He didn't like, But yeah, it's just. But then at that point, I did fear for the worst. At that point, my sort of the negative switch really did click, and I thought, well, we're all over shop here.
As you said earlier, and Jordan said in the comments, no, it weren't Jordan, it was Sean Ravino, said, Spurs should have been out of sight at half time, and I did tweet it. I thought we were very lucky to go in at half time at level. Spurs should have been out of sight, but we'll move on to the Burnley first goal. As poor as Kyle Walker was. For the defending, and I thought he had quite a poor game, if I'm honest with you. He did show some bit of quality here, as I've already sort of referenced already. He put in a brilliant cross for Big Les when we played Leeds earlier in the season at the Turf. Les scored from that, and a similar thing here. It's a brilliant cross, puts it on an absolute peak. So there's the first frame. You can see where Walker obviously is there at the bottom of your screen, just pinging it in Reminds me of that picture you took of him, Nathan, actually, earlier in the season. I think that was against Leeds, actually. Just perfectly poised there, putting it in. And on an absolute play, you could just see the ball there landing at Tuanzebe's feet. And this is where I get frustrated now when I look back at these goals, and especially when I look back at Burnley's second goal, is look at that defending there from Spurs, right? I know we've just criticised the Burnley defending because we're Burnley fans and we want Burnley to defend as good as possible, and we've been quite frustrated with the Burnley defending throughout the majority of the season. But look at how... So like they've got half decent sort of like line there. There's a couple of players probably a little bit too deep. Obviously, I don't know who it is here in the middle, just blocking out the penalty spot, but he's the player playing Tuanzebe on. There is a player with Tuanzebe there, but when you look at him there, he's free. He's absolutely unmarked. And this is the first time we really put Spurs under any sort of like pressure with a decent ball or some decent play. And their defence cracked. And it cracked even more for the second goal. That was absolutely shocking, that second goal. And this is where I get frustrated with the fact that we didn't put a team like Spurs, who went into this in poor domestic form and only got the win against Dortmund, and had shown that they've been quite poor defensively recently, and just not really put them under any pressure. And that's where I got frustrated with that. But Andrew, do you want to talk us through this goal and your thoughts on it, please, mate?
Yeah, like you say, it's a cracking ball from Walker. It's actually a really good run from Tuanzebe. Like, not his biggest fan. I think Nathan will agree. He's not the best player we've got at this club, but it's a good move from, like, it is a good run from Tuanzebe, and it's a good finish from him. But yeah, like you say, Tottenham weren't defending it the greatest either. Like, it's poor defence from Tottenham, and like I said before, the throwing that we get comes from a Tottenham mistake, and that's my issue. We didn't really create many chances, and yeah, it's a great cross from Walker, to be fair. And we know what he can do on the ball, because we saw so many times at the start of the season that diagonal ball that he played, and he doesn't seem to do it as much. And that's the thing that frustrates me more with Walker. We know that he's great on the ball. He just can't, he just doesn't keep it up this season.
I think this is why sort of Walker came to us with that sort of shadow hanging over him when he was at them final days at City. I think City weren't at the best and they were conceding a lot of chances, and I think Walker was getting exposed for, he's probably a bad right winger rather than a good right back, if that makes sense. That sounds like really offensive to one of the best sort of right-sided players we've ever had in this country. But
where is that now?
It seems like he couldn't be a Gareth Bale type player going forward, but he couldn't be a Cafu at the back. You know what I mean? He's sort of stuck in this like Pep Guardiola middle ground, and I think he can't handle that consistent barrage of pressure and like I say, that's the sad reality of it. Is like we're talking about, oh bloody hell, yeah, he's done that before against Leeds, and Leeds were like first week of October.
That's obviously we've done nothing since, have we? We've done nothing.
It frustrates me. Like, why haven't we done this? He's got this delivery. Like, why are we? And again, it's a complete indictment to our season that the only person that attacked that ball was our centre back that's just come back from AFCON.
But even last time, it were big Les. All right, where were the strikers throwing it? You know what I mean? Like, completely get that.
I don't even know where Breuer is on that picture. I couldn't even make out his orange boots or whatever. Like, where even is he on that picture? He just, the goal game at a good time. Like I say, I would have feared going in at 1-0 at half time. I think it would have panned out to be a very different game if we'd have gone in at 1-0. I think at 1-1, it does make Spurs really nervy, because their away end really does change. That Tottenham were really giving it us, weren't they? They were having a laugh with it, and they were singing, "We're staying up, we are staying up," and like, "Oh shit, must you be? We're winning," all this that, and then we get the equaliser, and bang, they almost turn immediately, like on a sixpence.
And when it was 2-1, you could see the anger, every misplaced pass, arms in air. You could see it there. So it's a shame we couldn't really capitalise on that, to be honest with you. But we will move on to obviously Burnley's second goal, and this is again the frustrations for me. I just feel like, why are we not making these moments count? Look at how, you mentioned earlier, Nathan, as well. Burnley's poor line and Burnley's poor defensive setup. Look at that there from Spurs. That's even worse. This is a Big Six club who spent obviously not as much as a traditional Big Six club, and you could argue, I don't know what the stats are, probably spent even less than Villa and potentially even Newcastle over the last few years. I'm not sure exactly. Yeah. But that is awful from Spurs, and that's Jadon Anthony there on the edge just before he passes it to Lyle. Obviously a screen that I'll bring in just a second. But Nathan, I'll come to you first on this one. Your thoughts on this goal, and again, as awful as the goal was, as a aesthetically pleasing sort of goal. Number one, they all count. So it doesn't really matter. And number two, it just frustrates the laugh out of me more that we didn't put Spurs under more pressure.
Yeah, like I said before, I think most of our chances came from them giving us possession back quite a lot of the time. You know, Tottenham felt were itching to give us a goal, to give us a peg up and get our season back underway. And, you know, the defending's terrible. You've got all their players walking back, but, you know, the official club account made me laugh. They tweeted about 30 seconds later after he scored and just put a picture of Foster and just said clinical. I have never, ever, ever seen a goal less clinical in my life.
There was some very questionable tweets from the club account yesterday. He not
only biffed it on the first attempt right at keeper, he then spazzes it to the far post, and it only dribbles into the net via the defender.
Yeah, it goes through the defender's legs, who's just in front of him there, I think, or is it the one running back? I can't remember. But it hits him on the way.
You know, obviously, I'll take anything going in off someone's arse at a minute. Like, it don't matter. It does hit the back of the net, but it shows how categorically shit we are up front. Broja, really I imagine we're going to probably do quite a section. I hope we do a section about Broja because I have quite a lot to say about him. But he's been given a few chances that game and absolutely spaffed it. Foster nearly spaffs that again. Like, he's been gifted a golden chance there, and he's lucky that Tottenham their players are all over the show.
Goals breed confidence, though, don't they? So hopefully that.
We're taking the mick out of Tottenham, but I thought that build-up play. If you get a chance to watch the whole goal again, like the little quick passing through the lines, Foster actually makes a nice sort of decoy run, steps into midfield, then drops back out again, and the whole thing actually looks really well until Foster goes to finish the thing. You know. Yeah. So I'm just thankful it went in, and like I said, the mood in the ground were absolutely class when that second goal.
It were good. It were a good atmosphere as well. I thought yesterday.
Yeah, it were brilliant. Like saying that's what I was asking for before the game. It was just a bit of excitement, a bit of something to just get the heart rate up a little bit. And that second goal going in, like, felt. I won't say like we were like, yeah, we're going to stay up, but you could sense a bit of relief around the ground, and everyone were like genuinely buzzing about, you know, finally being ahead in the game. So yeah, it were.
Yeah, it were good. It were good to see the atmosphere yesterday. I thought it was decent. There's been some times this season where fans have rightly criticised the atmosphere that the fans ourselves are creating, saying it's not good enough. But it were actually a good atmosphere yesterday. Lee Richards says, I've seen Spurs fans call them Dr. Spurs. Yeah, I was actually on 5 Live on Saturday morning with a lad called Chris Cowling. You may have heard of him. He does Spurs content. And he said the exact same thing. We need to stop being Dr. Spurs. Unfortunately, the doctor wasn't great for us because the doctor did sort themselves out in the last minute. Jordan says their worry is Foster has now got 3 goals for the season. What's Broja on? Is he on 2, 1? I'm not sure. We'll get on to Broja in a bit. But Andrew, you want to quickly chat about that goal?
Yeah, like Nathan said, we nearly completely cocked it up and did a Burnley on it, didn't we? Like, it was good finish-ish by you, Doggy, pushing it into the back of the net. But I want to highlight Anthony for goal, to be honest, because
he's there on the edge of the box.
He sends Van de Ven for a new knee, doesn't he?
Yeah, like he sent him for a hot dog and just like that. That's what we want to see from Anthony. We know what he's like on the ball. He can be good. We knew what he was like
yesterday. I thought Anthony and Perez both played well on the left, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. We know what he can be like, and we know what he was like in the Championship last year. That's what we want to see from Anthony. We don't want to see the sitting back and everything. And yeah, it were a good goal. They all count. It don't matter if you smash it from 40 yards or it rolls in off.
Exactly, they all count. I just want to jump in, Andrew, and sort of like wish farewell to Alan, who says this chat is so depressing. I'm off. Sorry, Alan. We can only talk about what actually happens, mate. If you
want us to do
if you want us to do thank you for the UTC, Alan. if you want us to do a Delusion Juice podcast, we will. We can only talk about what happens. We haven't won a game since the end of October. We conceded a 90th-minute equaliser yesterday, despite sort of like going ahead in the 76th minute, as it says on screen there. Yeah. I'm sorry, mate. Next time I'll just pretend everything's okay and we're top of the Premier League. Come back next season, mate. When we're doing well in the Championship, you might actually enjoy it. And James Smith agrees with him. But these two are ones that have, well, especially James. I'm not sure what Alan thinks, but I know James has said he does think we're staying up. So I think that tells us enough on where James's mind is.
I can't even say the pies were good yesterday because I got. Well, you know what? And it was raw. I say raw. It was cold in the middle. That one, I put the picture in the group. Well excited for it, and it was in cold.
I must have missed that. What did I have? I didn't eat at the club yesterday. I normally do. I normally get a hot dog or a pie. To be fair, I've not had an issue with any of the pies this season. To be fair, so I won't slag any of the pies off. No. My little boy loves the hot dogs. He always says they're good. But yesterday I went to the what's it called? The Clarets Corner Butty Shop thing or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah.
Brilliant. It's always been good there. I used to go to college behind the football club, actually. Yeah. And I used to go and get butties there back then. And they're always class and the class again. Anyway, let's move on to the Spurs equaliser. Not much to say about it, really. Other than we just sat back, invited a bit of pressure. I know some people, I've already sort of like mentioned the sitting back, and I'm sure Nathan and Andrew will get their thoughts on it as well. And if you're in the chats, now feel free to let us know what you think. Please don't scare any more people off though with your negativity. Sorry, realism. They see it as negativity though. But let me know what you thought on the goal and the way we sat back. Personally, my opinion is I just feel like it was a natural thing. I don't think it was a conscious thing. I just feel like it was a natural thing. You haven't won since, like we've already said, the end of October. You're currently winning a game, which could, have a massive effect on your season potentially. Obviously, we all know as fans it probably won't do. But I just think they're naturally just going to sit back. And that's just what's invited pressure. And unfortunately for us, it's an absolutely brilliant header from Romero. It's a great header. And it had to be a great header to beat Dubravka with the form that he was in yesterday. Go on, Andrew. You can chat first on this one, mate.
It felt like it was coming.
It did, didn't it? Wow. I mean, like I said off stream before we started, when we were all just in the chat. I think one of you two said, I can't remember which one were like, you just knew that was going to happen, didn't you? Or something. And I did, but when Conor Gallagher, I think it was, hit the bar, I thought luck might be on our side here. It really might be, and I started getting a bit of hope at that point, but obviously, unfortunately, it wasn't to be.
Yeah, it just felt like it was coming, and I think that moment when they hit the bar, it came from Odebert running down that left-hand side.
Can I just jump in again? He was class yesterday. If we had a player like him, Jesus, we might actually finish.
Well, we still got relegated with him, but yeah, he was absolutely brilliant yesterday. And like I know you said before, you thought Perez had a good game. I thought he was awful.
Well, Chris Bennon says he were awful. I think with Perez defensively. He regularly is awful, but I actually thought he wasn't awful defensively yesterday. He had his moments, as he always does. But I thought going forward, him and Anthony were brilliant on that left-hand side.
Yeah, I think he's good at going forward, but for me, he's not good enough as a defender. And that chance where they hit the bar, it's come from that left-hand side. And that was like the warning of keep close to Odebert, keep your eye on him because he's going to be running down that side. And then literally minutes later, the exact same player is able to put a cross in from the exact same situation. Yeah. And if you look at where Odebert is when he puts the ball in, Perez is in the middle. Perez is nowhere near his man. And that seems to be like a reoccurring thing where our players aren't watching the man. Like he's just not watching his man, and yeah, I'm not going to put it all on Perez because it's a hell of a header from Romero, and 2 keepers, 3 keepers, however many in the net weren't saving that. It were a bullet header.
It were a great header from Romero. I'll give him that.
It's just pour down that left hand side once again.
Defensively, it was, but as I said, I do feel like going forward, our left-hand side was the best. Yeah, yesterday. Just want to jump in as well before I let Nathan have a chat. Stuart says, "Why am I getting adverts on a live feed?" Blame YouTube, mate, not me. But also, I need to put my son through college, so click on everything, please. No, I'm joking, but yeah, it's a new YouTube thing. I've noticed it myself recently when I'm watching stuff. I think it looks quite cool. I know it can be annoying, but I like how it sort of like moves the live feed a little bit smaller, brings the advert in, but you can still see the live feed. Sorry, mate, that's a YouTube thing. Sean Rubino says virtually every bloody goal starts on the left-hand side. What game were you watching, mate? Anthony and Perez were crap. Jesus. Going forward, they weren't, mate. I think most of our stuff came from the left-hand side. Obviously, the first goal didn't, to be fair. And to be fair to you, Chris, I do feel like the bar isn't high for them too.
No.
So I'm probably looking at them and thinking, well, they're not utterly garbage this week, and they're just a little bit garbage. So the bar isn't high. Anthony did well for the second goal as well, to be fair. As we've said, I don't think he was on the chat then at that point, to be fair. But yeah, the bar isn't high for them too. Nathan, your thoughts on the Spurs goal? Again, it's probably not much we can really say.
No, it's my mate Axel. He's just flat-footed, facing his own goalkeeper.
You can see him there, can't you? Yeah.
When I watched it go in live at the turf, I watched it back later on. It was just, again, I'm just like, it's just not a Premier League football. Like, I've got nothing against the kid. Like, he proved that he wasn't a Premier League footballer at Ipswich. It's just so disheartening. Again, they've just got half-hearted players that aren't good enough and aren't that arsed.
Season, we'll see.
But it's just positionally, he's a nightmare. It just genuinely is positionally a nightmare. But I don't know what the fix is. I mean, I didn't mind Ekdal in there, but he sort of, you lose a little bit going forward. But I think we look more organised with Ekdal in, really, if I'm being honest with you. So. Go on.
I was just going to say that Chris has gone on to say Hartman should be in over Perez. I mean, I agree with that. And I've said that myself on several streams before. We've had debates on the channel about that recently. I don't understand if Parker and Hartman have fallen out, sorted out, and get the better player in the side. I do completely agree. But even he can be a little bit suspect defensively.
He's unbelievable going forward. Like, if
he's so much better going forward.
And the game to do that against was Tottenham that are absolutely garbage. And you could also see the game drifting like it were at half time. You know, they should have been ahead in the game, but they weren't. So you knew that Tottenham could be got at, and yet we've got Hartman sat, not doing anything. And
he weren't even on the bench yesterday, so I'm not sure what's going on there.
There's no clarity from the situation whatsoever.
There never is from this club at the minute. Ever since the new owners have come in, there's just everything's hush-hush, everything's secret. Even the fan, I mean, me and Nathan could sit here and talk to you about it for ages, but even the fan debates are all selected and stuff like that. Like, there's no way me and Nathan will ever get a seat on one of them debates, well, especially not Nathan. me, I have more of a chance. But even I don't think I'd get invited.
You just like to know what's going on. We've got all this quality coming in with Hartman, and then he's just all of a sudden overnight just been completely ghosted. And then the game that he is back for, there's pictures going out of him walking up touchline with Scott Parker like the best mates.
Yeah, but
so is he injured? And if he's not injured,
I just feel like it's a narrative that they're trying to push through that, isn't it? I know it was the Burnley Express that put that out, but the Burnley Express are obviously media partners of the club.
Yeah, well, they get fed what they want to hear from the club, not
exactly.
They need to hear from the club. It's
again,
they have nothing to report that the club don't want them to say.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
That's why the club don't like. And that's why the club don't like unofficial fan pages like ourselves.
There's no independent communication coming out of there. So
anyway, me and Nathan, like I said, so we'll make that get into it again.
I'm getting
but Random Man says, I thought Hartman was linked with leaving. No, he was. I'm not sure how true that is, mate, but not even on the bench yesterday. So, again, we will see. Chris says, Edwards our only real attacking threat. We take him off and invite pressure for the last 10 minutes. Now, if he took Edwards or Anthony off for Ekdal, you could understand it. Parker is a problem. Again, been saying that for months, mate. It's absolute criminal that Marcus Edwards has only just started playing games regularly. We'll see. Right, I do want to talk about a certain someone, and Nathan has already mentioned a certain someone as well. So let's talk about Armando Broja. I did tweet yesterday, actually, and I will bring some of the responses in from that tweet that I put up yesterday, because when he took Armando Broja off, I was happy. I'll say I was very happy that he took him off. I feel like he hasn't shown enough in his recent times to be starting as much as he is. Where is it now? I can't find it. There it is. I haven't actually read all of these. But you get the usual happy clappers that give you shit, and I think the first screen that I've just seen is someone giving me a bit of grief. So let's here we go. So hopefully this is the end of the Armando Broja experiment. Can you see that very well, people? Let me know if you can't. I'll try and zoom in a little bit as well to make it a little bit easier. Milltown Clarets says, swapping for who exactly? I think he's been playing well. Very disappointed to see them chances go begging, but that's just us and strikers at the moment. We can't find the one. That's the problem, though, mate. I understand away from the chances, he links up play relatively well. He can put himself about relatively well, which I've given him praise for. So I'm just as entitled to criticise him, and I don't feel like he's played well. And I just feel like if them chances are falling to anyone else in the league, I think it were somebody said on Match of the Day yesterday, he's scoring goals. Lee Ashworth says Barnes is such a better option than him. We are playing for it to stick. Far, far better as well. I won't go that far, but I understand what you're trying to say, mate. You don't know what you're doing. Says he was more than decent. Well, obviously, you don't know what you're doing, but now I'm only joking. I know he listens to these. Raj says, not going to read the first word, but you can all see it there. F me. It was easy to score. The missed chances he had today, frustrating. Me. Dazalon says he's far better than the others. Service and support is non-existent. You know what? I kind of agree with that the service and support is non-existent usually, but he got good service yesterday and he had a few chances that he missed. I feel like Armando would work better with somebody playing alongside him, like a Lyle, or pushing somebody up. Shows how much we underrate Foster, says Matt. Johnny Boy says he's the best option we've got there by a country mile at the minute. I personally would have Lyle in over him now, just because he's just scored the goal. But I don't think any of them are any good, unfortunately. But I can see why some people would prefer him over Lyle. Foster should start next game, says Charlie. Luke says, seriously, easily one of our most talented players in the entire squad. A little wasteful today. That's exactly the point then, isn't it, mate? Like, you can sit there and say I think somebody tweeted it. It might have been Jordan Horsfall. It might have been somebody else. Said he's a good player but a bad footballer. And I think that sums that up brilliantly. Like, you don't want the chances to be falling to him, unfortunately. Andrew, you disagree there? I think you're not nodding, you're not shaking. I feel like you're bopping.
I've completely flipped that. I think he's on the ball. I think he's brilliant. I think he drops.
I agree.
He can take the ball past 3-4 players coming back. As soon as he gets towards the box, I want to call him Jigsaw. I want to nick that nickname off Brian Clough, because as soon as he gets to the box, he goes to pieces and he just doesn't seem to know what to do. And people are saying that he's the best option that we've got. He's got one goal for us this season. Granted, our other options are Lyle Foster, who's now got 3, and Ashley Barnes, who's got 2 in the cup.
Yeah,
like it's not the best of a bad bunch. Like, Broja isn't good enough to play up front on his own. Maybe trying with Foster up front. Maybe
that's what I do. But again, it's Scott Parker is far too cautious. Parker is too cautious, and he won't play 2 up front.
Agreed. And I think coming off the game yesterday, I said I'd almost be tempted to play Broja in the 10 role and have someone up front. But, you know, it's the problem is with Foster, he'll start and he's worse. I wouldn't say he's worse, but he hasn't taken his chances and been as clinical as we'd like anyway. So
yeah, Andrew says neither Foster or Broja have come near Fleming's contribution. While I agree with that, I feel like they're both better footballers than Zian Fleming. But again, Zian could work in a 2. Broja is the Fleming of Fosters, says Jordan. Absolutely love that. It just shows how bad our striking options are, isn't it, when you're creating...
Jordan, can we get that on a shirt, please?
Yeah.
Please, can I get that on a shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nathan, your thoughts on it? Makes it for you that kind of requested the Broja chat as well.
I don't know where to begin with him. He's not a good footballer. I don't buy any of this chat that anyone keeps coming out with. What anyone's described me is just a very good five-a-side footballer. That's all I can see. You know, he's good with his feet. He gets on the ball a lot. He doesn't do anything with it, like, at all. Like, he's not done this. He's done this consistently out his entire career. I've got his stats up here because I don't rate him as a player. I was fuming when we signed him and wasted all that money on him, and it's being proven again. He had his full season playing for Vitesse, 2021. He scored 11 goals. He then went to Southampton in 2021. Bearing in mind we've had a global pandemic since then, and he got 9 goals. He then went on to have 1, 2, none for Fulham, none for Everton, and he's had 1 for us. Granted, he's had injuries. Fair enough. If you're not playing, you can't score. But that doesn't, to me, make a good player. Like, at all. He's a striker. What's his job?
Score goals.
Thank you. He doesn't do it. He runs
Neither does
permanently.
Foster.
When
That's the problem.
When we're going forward, he permanently runs in between the 2 centre halves. He doesn't find space. He doesn't run beyond the defence, the centre halves, to open up space for others. When he does get the ball, he runs around with it like a ballerina, and does nothing with it. He gets in front of the goals, like you said. He gets in front of the goal and he shits the bed. Like, we can't. Like, what is this? Is academy football? Like, we can't have players on the pitch that fundamentally cannot do the job that they're paid to do. Like, he's not a good footballer. Like, I'm not buying any of this nonsense that, yeah, he's fine, good with his feet, whatever. What fucking good's that when he's in front of the goal? I'd rather him be like Haaland. I'm not saying, we need to play. Haaland's terrible with his feet. Put him 18 yards in front of goal, it's going it back at net.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's not a striker. Yeah.
He can't play in other positions either. He's not a number 10. He's not footballing aware enough to be a number 10. He can't play out wide because he can't beat a man. He can't run at a man. He can only work close quarter with his feet and stuff. So to me, it just feels like one of these Parker signings that he just feels like he can father him. That's what it felt like to me. He just wants to be that person that saves Brozier, and it ain't working. It's not working. He can't play up front of the Premier League football. Now, he might come good in the Championship, but he also might not. That's an absolute win. But he's not played in the Championship.
How often did we say that about Foster?
But he's not played in the Championship, so he doesn't have a clue what it's like. So.
Yeah,
Jamie,
I'm not going to put that comment on screen. But what I said is he wouldn't finish his tea. That's the more PG way of saying what you've just said there, mate. He couldn't finish his tea.
I don't believe that. Go on. I don't believe that the service isn't poor. The service is poor for anybody, not just Broyer. But
it was better yesterday. The service was better yesterday.
Yeah. And when he got given the perfect service, he's had one-on-ones.
It took too long with his chances. That was the problem. That's probably a confidence and an injury thing. Obviously, Harry does say here he's been out for 18 months and he's improving. I agree, he's improving slightly, but he's still not scoring the goals. I don't know. He got more chances yesterday, but is that him improving or is that our service to him improving?
I think I challenge anyone next game.
Rogers scored the same amount of goals as Tuanzebe. Well, there you go.
I challenge everybody next game. Just watch him. If he starts, he constantly hides in between the centre halves. Constantly. Edwards is constantly looking to either give it to him or rely on Broyer, like good strikers do occasionally, just run offside because it means it'll get a defender turning, freeing up a bit of space for Edwards or for someone else. He doesn't do it, and lads get frequently frustrated with him. You can watch it a mile off.
Yeah. Well,
thought he did all
right.
There
you go. Other than that, it was class. Anyway, moving on. Let's have some positive chat. Let's do the man of the match. Get your comments in with your man of the match, please. Just put the player name in there. Get it in as quick as possible. I think this could be an absolute 100% landslide. I would be very surprised. In fact, no, I wouldn't because Andrew is on the panel. But I would also still be very surprised if it wasn't 100% sort of in agreement of who the man of the match was in the chat. I'm going to go first because I do think this one is going to be obvious. But it is Martin Dubravka. Kept us in the game, was absolutely superb. If it wasn't for him, it's easily 4-2, 5-2. He makes a brilliant double save just before they score. That double save was class. And my little boy has recently just turned around to me and said he wants to be a goalkeeper. Obviously, that's after me spending hundreds, if not thousands of pounds on him over the years, going to football training, going to one-on-one coaching sessions. His one-to-one coach actually listens to these podcasts, by the way. Don't worry, Jordan. We will still be back when the nights get a little bit shorter because he still needs to be better at playing outside and getting used to playing with the football. But I was saying to him yesterday, that is what you're supposed to do as a goalkeeper. You make a save, you're down, you're back up straight away. And that was fantastic from Martin Dubravka. And he celebrated like a goal, which was great to see, as you'd expect him. And I also celebrate like a goal. But it wasn't the only one. The one that he tipped round the post late in the second half was fine as well. He made some really, really good saves yesterday. Andrew, your man of the match, please, mate.
Armando Broja, no. Martin Dubravka.
Well, Andrew says Armando Broja. I think he's joking, though.
It has to be Martin Dubravka because no one else on that pitch can walk off from yesterday and be like, I left everything on there. I was 100%, at the top of my game. He is the only person who can walk off yesterday saying that. He was absolutely superb. Yeah. He made, like I say, those saves that he made in the second half, the one where he tipped it onto the post. He made really good save, double save before the corner. Before that, he made a really good save from Porro's free kick. He was just absolutely superb. And I'm sure Nathan's going to say it again, but without him, we'd be less than Derby's points record total this season. I don't care how many mistakes he's made in games this season. Martin Dubravka, he's only
really West Ham. There was another one somewhere that I can't remember what it was, but there was only really West Ham where you can look at him and be like, wow, that's a bad game from you, mate. There was another mistake one somewhere. What was it, Newcastle? It might have been. When you're keeping us in 99% of the games, you're allowed an off day on the 1%.
He's signing of the season for me, 100%.
Yeah. Nathan, you're making it 100%. I presume you will.
Yeah, it has to be. Like there wasn't anybody really that offered a standout performance. I thought Big Les had quite a good game. He was probably the only one that was doing much of a muchness. I don't really know what he did, but he looked lively and dynamic. But Dubravka was head and shoulders. Like say, without him, we'd have been long gone. We'd be really, really sort of embarrassing up the league, and you've got to take your out of him because we concede 20 to 30 shots a game, and just by law of averages you're going to concede. You should concede 5. If you've conceded 30 chances, you should concede 5 goals. That's just the way it goes, and the fact that we don't most games is quite astonishing. It feels like we've sort of got our sort of Tom Eaton back. Daesh used to be he used to concede a lot of chances, but we had the defensive solidity, and it feels like we've got that. I don't worry as much anymore at that end of it, really, with the conceding. You sort of rely on Dubravka to do a job, and like I say, some of the saves he made, that double save where he stood up and like straight to Jimmy Mack lower, like he'd just scored a goal. Like that was such a good save, and it's Dubravka. There's no other player on that pitch that gets anywhere near it. Yeah, and I hope the lads after the game sort of got around him and applauded him for that. I really do hope the lads in the dressing room were like, they need to respect his name quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Dominic says Dubravka. Liam Beach says Dubravka. Andrew Turmore says Broja. I think he's taking the piss though. Dominic Roach says Dubravka. Chris Brennan says Dubravka. Sean Rubino says Dubravka. Ginger Ali says Dubravka. Joy Waite says definitely him every week. I think she means Dubravka. MJ Hilsa says Dubravka. Simon Woodhouse says Edwards. There's always one or two. Mark Lancaster says Dubravka. Andrew Turmore is being serious now. He says the Dubravka. Martin Patterson says Dubravka. Lee Richards says Dubravka. I'm saying Dubravka really weird now because I've said it over and over and over again. James Ayrton says Dubravka. Trezor says Alan Slow Runner, who's now got a beautiful new profile picture. I didn't notice that earlier. Jordan Rushworth, as good as Nathan says, not man of the match, but I thought Big Les was good. But then Chris Brennan goes on to say, I thought Big Les was awful. Stayed on the pitch and took Luis off. That's enough. Another, I think he's meant to say, Strange Parker. So Florentino, I'm not going to sit here and talk about Florentino now, so I do need to start wrapping it up. But he frustrated me yesterday. He's so good off the ball, but so bad on it. We need a playmaker next to him.
He's too good for this team. That's the reality of it. I genuinely
I don't think the system works for him either. No. We need more creative players in there for him that he can offload the ball to. Andrew, you're fuming again about something.
I agree with you both. Yeah. I think he's too good for us.
Yeah. He reads like
the of this season.
Yeah. Riley Platt has said, lads, when are we going to have a watch-along? Will be so good. The problem is we go on the games. So I can't really do watch-alongs. However, I don't think I'm going to Sunderland. I don't have tickets as it stands. I'm not sure if they're sold out yet. But with it being a Monday night, it's quite frustrating and tough for me to get to with childcare and stuff like that. So it's... I'll look into it. We'll see. We'll see.
When is the Sunderland
Anything?
game? I can do a live check on the calendar and
It's Monday coming. Yeah, next Monday. Well, not Monday coming. That'll be tomorrow. So it's next Monday, isn't it? They've moved it. Yes.
Yeah.
I am available for a watch along.
We might do one then.
I will be watching along, so
that'll be depressing. So
yeah,
I don't. Yeah. I've never really been fans of watch alongs because I want to watch the match, not think about the stream. But the last time I did a watch along is when Leeds and Sheffield United both played at the same time last season.
Yeah,
Sheffield United were playing Plymouth and they got beat, and Leeds were losing at one point as well. I think they ended up turning it around and winning. But I think that was a moment I was like, we're going up. So it actually was a good watch along because I wasn't watching Burnley, so I was relaxed.
Yeah.
Whereas watching Burnley,
I was watching your watch along whilst I was watching the football.
It was fun. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it were fun. Yeah, Leeds beat Preston. That's right. Yeah. Jack Kynes in the chat says, "Right, lads, Dubravka 100%. He made some cracking saves. He was. Louise is good, and nobody's showing for the ball. He is good. I'm not saying he isn't. He's very, very good off the ball. I just think on the ball, a lot of it will be the fact that he doesn't have a pass anymore. Because Cullen, he worked well with Cullen because Cullen's always there wanting a pass. Cullen will always make himself available. Whereas we have players now that do hide and don't necessarily want the ball. So yeah, anything you want to add, lads, before we wrap up? Because I do start work in 15 minutes, so I need to wrap up and get everything sorted.
A lot's been said about the atmosphere, about singing old players' names and stuff.
Well, what I would say before you go on, there was one tweet, and Jordan's still in the chat. Jordan then quote tweeted that tweet. I won't name the person who tweeted it because they've deleted it. It was quite funny. They were whinging about people singing old fans' names. I like that. It's a nod to the past of times, that were good times. There's nothing wrong with that. Man United have been doing it for years. They sing the Eric Cantona song. They did sing the Ryan Giggs song until they found out we were wrong. But they've been singing all these songs for years, and I quite like it when United do that because it provides an atmosphere. And I enjoyed hearing Dean Marnie's name, Scott Arfield's name, Tom Eaton's name. There was nothing wrong with that, and I thought the atmosphere yesterday was much better than it has been over the last.
A lot of it came from seasons. The Tottenham fans as well, though, because before the game, you could hear, because in cricket field, obviously they swapped it around, but there's like a massive metal door in between the Burnley fans and the away fans. So you can
underneath in the concourse, you mean?
Yeah. So you can literally hear them singing. And you could hear them shouting Dean Marnie from their side. So then Burnley fans were shouting it back, and it was like going back and forth. And it was like this.
Vizza, you see what you've started? See what you've started, Vizza?
Tottenham Dean Marnie, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
He scored
got a legacy number and everything for Tottenham.
He scored an absolute cracker once for them.
Yeah, he did against
It might not have been Chelsea, but he scored an absolute cracker for him once.
Yeah. But it started from them, and then obviously we got the Zarawi, we got J-Rod, we were singing Graham DeBrancio, it got the atmosphere going, which, like you said, we've not had for so long.
It was good. It was good to see.
We have decent chance for half of the players that we've got now.
Yeah.
We'd probably be singing them. It was just. That cricket field end yesterday were the best it's been in a long time.
Yeah, it was class. Like say, we're in the Jimmy Mac upper, and it just came out so well, and it sort of filtered through the stadium a little bit, and then little pockets in certain parts of the stand started doing stuff, and then the club have almost tried. It feels like they've tried everything they can to suck any life and energy out of the atmosphere with the music choices they play and all this, that, and the other. And I thought yesterday was really good to see, and quite frankly, the performance didn't deserve it, apart from them sort of brief 20 minutes. But when we did kick on, it did. The atmosphere did come, and it was good. And we just need to keep doing that. I think if we are going down, but let's just have a laugh with it now. I think that's where we're at with it. We all go on the turf not because we want to, because we have to. That's the sad reality of it, isn't it? My missus is like, what's the point going? You're going to get beat anyway. And then every day I'm like, yeah, but we might not. So it's an obligation to go.
One game where we finally do win. But anyway, we'll wrap it up there. I do agree. We both feel like the atmosphere was a lot better. There was a comment on screen, then I'll bring it back in. Sean Rubinio says Parker has to go, and so does that bloody recruitment team. Useless. Don't necessarily disagree with that, but I don't want to discuss the same thing every single week, Sean, to be fair. He says, regarding atmosphere, stop the bloody crap music, right, and put till kickoff so rival fans can sing at each other. That's a different debate, and we won't get into that, but I do feel like... Having said that, and I tweeted it yesterday. That violin version of No Nay Never, I don't know what it is that gets me pumped. I love that violin version of No Nay Never, and I think I'm in the minority with that one. When that's playing, and I'm sat there, I'm like, you know what? We can win today. We can do this.
I like it.
I don't know what it is.
that.
It gets me, does that?
But not that. No, not that close to kick off.
You put that on when people start filtering in, and then you get the walk on, and then when people are sitting down, and then bang, you hit them with some bit more fucking life, reaffirming, not that stupid Western music. It's utter shite. Yeah. And I know Russell Ball watches and listens. Stop fucking using that song. It's doing my nutting. Night, Russell.
Russell Ball, fan of the podcast.
Have a good week.
Fan of the podcast, Russell Ball.
And email Andrew back as well.
I don't think he's even sent it yet. But anyway, we'll wrap it up there before Nathan gets in trouble again. Phil Tricks Wilcox says, "Hey, Job, missed the first 45 minutes. Is there anywhere I can catch up?" Thank me later. Well, thank you for that, Phil. But yes, you're in luck, mate. If you have missed the start of the stream like Phil, then do not worry, because as soon as I press end stream, which I'm about to do in about 10 seconds, the stream stays on YouTube and on Facebook for you to watch back at your leisure. I will also be uploading it as a podcast, which will go on all the usual podcast platforms, such as Spotify, such as Apple Podcasts, such as Google Play, such as Deezer. Wherever you get your podcasts, it will be there. But thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I will see you for the Glenn Little podcast tomorrow. I need to text him, actually, to find out what time he wants to do it. And then for the post-weekend ponder, which will also be tomorrow. And then the pre-game show, normal service resume. But thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We will see you next time.